Hey guys, I'm Janet on occasion, and today we're playing the Total War Warhammer II Battle Replay. So, yeah, as you can tell, my voice is a little bit coarse today. I just got back from that wedding, and I'm absolutely knackered, but I can get back on schedule now. I've got no plans, you know, I'm free to do stuff, which is great. So, yeah, hopefully we'll be back on track. So, this battle is Wood Elves versus Greenskins, and it's quite a fun one. I decided I usually go with the, like, you know, swarms of war dancers, but no, I decided to mix it up. I very rarely bring a front line of Eternal Guard, I very rarely bring Dryads, but Dryads I think are pretty good in this matchup. They've got the physical resist, they've actually got pretty good armor, you know, for a damage dealer really. I mean, look at that, Eternal Guard only 40, these guys got 60, and the physical resist. They've also got magic attacks, which is pretty good against Greenskins, because Greenskins, they don't really have any sort of magical resistance, so against most of their units, it makes no difference. But if they bring a lot of Savage Orcs, then you're going to be able to negate their physical resistance, and so that's pretty good. Also, the Dryads with their physical resist, Greenskins don't tend to have a lot of magic attacks either, so they're going to see the benefit of that. So they actually work out pretty well. So quite like Dryads in this matchup. I should probably have given them a chance more earlier on, but they're pretty good. Not bad stats, you know, they do a fair bit of damage, and they also cause fear, which is pretty cool. That's also very good against Greenskins that suffer from pretty poor leadership, so really like that. Also, I bring my usual, you know, sort of Lord contingent here. I've got Durthu and I've got the Branch Wraith, so obviously Durthu is just an absolute powerhouse. A lot of the Greenskins anti-large isn't armor piercing, so you know, his 100 armor is really going to keep him going, which is pretty cool. So also, you know, with the Sword of Death and other, you know, abilities he's got, he's really dangerous. So absolutely love Durthu. And the Branch Wraith, you know, buffing people's melee attack. It means that actually Eternal Guard have got alright melee attack in this. You know, 31. It's not bad. It's not bad. So pretty good. But they're mostly defensive units. But it means I have a lot of anti-large, which is pretty cool. So also War Dancer Azrai Spears, in case he had anything like a giant, or you know, if a Lord landed nearby or something, I could focus him down with the War Dancers, because these guys will just kill like horrible amounts of large units if they get the chance. Also, over here, you can see something got spotted. Yes, he's got some Orc Boys and some Squig Herd, but it's just the Orc Boys, the Orc Boar Boys, so it's not the anti-large variant, and they're about to run into a whole mess of my cavalry here. I've got 2 units of Wild Riders, because I rarely bring Wild Riders anymore. Also, I've got some Sisters of Thorn, so these guys together, you know, with the buffs and debuffs from the Sisters of Thorn, and just the absolute stomping power the Wild Riders have got, this kind of thing, it's not going to go well for them. So, and of course, you know, got the javelins from the Sisters of Thorn as well. So they're coming in, you know, poison damage as well. So these guys are going to get poisoned and attacked and then debuffed. They're screwed. That is a great get for me, nice and early. So absolutely love it. So here he actually went with a very cheap front line. Saved him a lot of money. He just gone with Goblins. And actually, Goblins do pretty well. If I had War Dancers, they'd get killed immediately. But as it stands, I did not bring any War Dancers. So, yeah, they're actually going to hold out pretty well against things like Eternal Guard. Dryads will do pretty well against them, but you know, they'll do okay. They'll hold out enough. You know, a few chevrons. So yeah, melee defense of 29. It's not terrible. It's not terrible. Also, that missile resistance, very useful against the Wood Elves. So not bad. Also, he's got Warlords Boys, and he's got 3 units of Biggins. He's going to be using these Biggins brilliantly. The thing with Biggins in this matchup is they don't have a lot of anti-armor, but they've got good anti-large, and they just have very good combat stats, and they hit very hard. So they're actually fantastic against the Wood Elves. You know, that a lot of their big, scary units don't have a lot of armor. You know, all my cavalry, they're going to be really easy to hurt. So these guys will perform fantastically against them with that really high weapon strength. So, very cool. Also, assume this is Azag. It's not War Boss. Rarely see an Orc War Boss on a Wyvern, but I definitely like that. It's very rare you see that. So, very cool. And for his caster, he's got an Orc Shaman, so he's going to be hitting me with things like Foot of Gork, so very scary. Got to watch out for that. And he's also got an Ragnarok Spider, which I think is pretty cool. They've got a lot of armor piercing. You know, they're very scary units, a lot of poison. You've got the missile attacks as well, which helps if you've got, you know, a load of War Dancers running around, they can get picked off quite a bit. So, yeah, I like the Ragnarok in this. It's something very sturdy to take on things like Treekin or Treeman and things. So, pretty cool. And also, he's got a Doom Diver Catapult, which I think is a nice pick against Wood Elves. Very good against low-armoured infantry, and chances are I'm going to have something quite expensive and low-armoured, such as these War Dancers Azrai Spears that are really suffering. And he does actually have more Squigs and Orc Boar Boys on the other side as well. Again, just the normal Orc Boar Boys, not the big ones, so no anti-large there. But he will be able to get some good charges into this stuff, and that would have been a great counter if I had brought War Dancers. So, let's speed things up. So I'm actually sending my Dryads slightly wide, because I want to get one around and pin down these big uns, so it'll give my cavalry more respite. These cavalry, I think I've lost 1. Oh, okay, I've lost 2 models there, and these 2 are about to be shattered. So there we go, nice early get for me. So, guys charging in. So the Dryads are charged in, the Squigs are coming in behind, but then, of course, my Eternal Guard are coming in behind them. So the Dryads are going to suffer quite a lot of damage early on. You know, the Squig Herd, they are armor-piercing as well, so they'll get through that, you know, not great, but alright armor from the Dryads. So that's pretty painful. So here, had my War Dancers, you know, chased down these Orc boys a bit, killed a couple, but, you know, nothing big. So here you can see, this is an odd call. The Orc War Boss, he's used War, and now he's trying to attack these War Dancers. I guess he just wants to shut them down early, so he can, you know, get as much use out of his cavalry as possible. But this is dangerous for him, so I hit him with the Curse of Andrew here, because frankly, this is beautiful for me. If I can get his melee attack down, these War Dancers are going to survive a lot longer, and they will do a ton of damage. So in the back, I'm keep moving my cavalry. I'm trying to get into the Doom Diver Catapult. I send one unit to try and charge in, but nope, he's managed to screen me beautifully with all these big uns. So I'm going to have to keep moving. So on this side, things are looking a bit iffy. You know, I've got one unit going, he's got one unit going. So, you know, things are a bit iffy, but all of this cavalry rear charging goblins, they're not going to survive. Not for a second. So they're going to get absolutely murdered. In the front line, my Eternal Guard are still going. The Orc War Boss has taken a ton of damage, really bad for him. So he's managed to get out of the fight though, realising he couldn't stick here. And here he used a Foot of Gork as I was charging in, but I managed to get through his lines too quickly, so it hit nothing. So very costly mistake. But of course, you don't really want to put it on top of your own line, you know. But it probably would have been better if you just put it on the goblins. I would have charged into the goblins, been rounding them up, and I would have lost most of my cavalry. So yeah, slightly mistimed, unfortunately, but definitely worth a shout, because that is a lot of value that he could have dealt with. I mean, 4 lots of cavalry, if he'd hit with a Foot of Gork, it would have been all over for me. So here you can see the Branch Wraith is getting singled out by quite a lot here. Yeah, the Orc War Boss and the Orc Shaman. I mean, the Shaman, despite being a spellcaster, he hits pretty hard. You know, fairly good weapon strength, he's got alright melee attack, you know, he'll do okay in a lot of situations. So, yeah, the two of them combined, pretty rough. So I'm holding back some of these big uns now, so my cavalry are able to run in and get some work in here, which is good. Here he's got some more big uns, so I'm trying to surround them with my Dryads that have come back. Here I use the magic missiles from Durthu. I was trying to hit the Orc War Boss, but I hit the Spider instead. It's fine, it's all good damage. So my Branch Wraith is running away, but he will come back. So I've got a lot of cavalry, sort of, you know, probing the lines. I'm getting some missile attacks onto the Orc War Boss. So, you know, every little helps. So a nice flock of doom, I believe, on this stuff. Yep. So that's good. I really want to whittle down these Orc Big Uns as best I can, because they're a real threat. So here, I tried to charge into the Orc Big Uns, but they've done so much damage to Sister Thorn already. So I'm going to do the same thing with the Wild Riders, just try and hit them. And I'll try and get out of that quickly. I just need to get some damage into there. But they're actually doing great. If I take the time to move around and get into the back, that would have been better, but I just wanted to hit them quickly and get out again. And it is whittling them down, so that's something. So over on this side, the Squigs rejoined the fight. And with the big uns here, the big uns will do great against Eternal Guard. They just completely... I mean, they're a lot higher value, they're just a lot better. They just have better combat stats, they'll do a ton of work. And they hit so hard, even though it's a very defensive unit, they just hit so hard. It doesn't matter. So here, charging in, I think I just lost a unit Sister Thorn there, which is a shame. But you can see the Arachnoid Spider has taken a ton of damage, which is great. Curse of Andra here, and the Sword of Death goes down on this blob, so that's going to do a lot of work. So now the Arachnoid Spider is down to 120 armor. Ooh, yeah, that's still pretty damn high. But, you know, it helps. And, yeah, I managed to whittle away some of the other things here, so you can see the Warlord's boys are running. So that's good. These Squigs have now shattered. But he's still got his Lord here. But you can see with the Arachnarok going, he doesn't really have an answer to Durthu anymore. Amazingly, this Doom Diver Catapult has stayed online up until now. Got my Wild Riders finally to deal with them, but that took a while. So here, he's trying to harry my Branch Wraith, make sure he can't come back. I've still got a load of healing, I've got Melkoth's Mystifying Miasma as well. So a lot of utility from the Branch Wraith, and that +8 melee attack that he can give people is really useful all the time. So here, he's moving back in with a load of stuff. He's still got a ton of big uns, which is very scary. Really need to stop them. And he's got more big uns coming in here. And they will actually do okay against Durthu, just for the anti-large. Obviously, they can't get through the armor as well, but, I mean, yeah, Durthu doesn't have a lot of support here. It's only really cavalry that the big uns will be able to get a ton of work into. So here, hit him with the Curse of Andra here, so that's going to be useful for me to try and prevent them from hitting quite as much. Over on this side, it looks like... Yeah, their infantry has actually managed to win this fight, which is surprising. I thought my infantry, despite being haggard, would be able to deal with the goblins, but they couldn't. You know, the goblins, surprisingly, you know, they'll do surprisingly well. So that's pretty scary. So I'm getting in with a rear charge here, so that's nice. The Branch Wraith is still fighting. And over here, hit these guys with the Melkoths, because I've got to whittle them down. I've just got to whittle them down. So they're charging back in. But at this point, army losses starts to hit. You can see the balance of power going. So they don't manage to get to me in time. So they get terrified away, and everything shatters. So Pyrrhic victory, and it definitely was Pyrrhic. This was a tough fight. It's definitely a fun one. I find Greenskins, they have a lot of excellent tools for dealing with the Wood Elves, and he brought a lot of them. So it's very rough. In fact, a lot of the time when I see someone pick Wood Elves, I'll go Greenskins. They are very formidable. But yeah, so pretty great. As you can see, you know, 1 kill and 0 kills with these two. They're the ones that got caught out. The other ones, again, not great. I just had so much anti-large that it didn't really help. You know, these would have been great counters of the War Dancers, which I did not have. So, you know, it's always good to be prepared, but they just couldn't get the value, you know, themselves against the build I brought. So that's a real pity there. But the big uns, perfectly played. They can win toe-to-toe against the Eternal Guard and the Dryads. They're just absolute MVPs in this. You know, I didn't really have a good answer to them. I could keep hitting them with spells, try and get rear charges on them and things, but it was always a lot more effort than he would have had to have, you know, used with them. All they had to do was screen me with them, and completely limited what I could do with my cavalry. So really, really good use of the big uns there. And I also just love the really cheap front line. You can see they actually got a fair few kills in, because fighting something that was more defensive, they were able to live longer. And you know, that really helped him out. Really interesting to see the Orc War Boss. Bit of a shame he charged the Azrai Spears. I think he was expecting just to be able to terrify them away a bit quicker, but they're elves at the end of the day, you know. They have a lot of leadership. Even it looks like the leadership is at half, it's still going to be a lot more than, you know, most units. Usually, see something on half leadership, you can charge it with a terrifying unit and it'll probably run away. Not the elves. The elves will not do that, so definitely a rough one. But yeah, War Dancers I think did pretty well, but the Doom Diver Catapult got a ton of kills, got a lot of value. These things are pretty cheap, so you know, pretty cool. I think it's a good good time to bring it against the Wood Elves. So yeah, it was a pretty great fight. Unfortunately, the Orc Shaman missed that Footic Orc, but that would have been the end of all of my cavalry if he'd positioned that or timed that slightly better. I mean, I did see it coming, but still, I knew I was going to avoid it. But yeah, that would have been amazing. I would have loved to have seen that. I mean, it would have been awful for me, but it would have been great to see that. I mean, 4 units of cavalry, 1 spell. Oh, just imagine it. It would have been beautiful. Anyway, so, but yeah, really cool build. I really like this. Just, you know, having such a cheap front line with that missile resistance, you know, I think it works really well. I think it did a great job. Obviously, if I brought a lot of War Dancers, they would not have lasted. But then, how well the War Dancers done against, you know, the Orc Boar Boys and the Squigs charging into them. You know, the Arachnarok Spider charging through them. So, you know, there's it's a pretty good balanced army here. I like it. So yeah, so there we go. And look at that. I brought Dryads and they did good things. Yay. So so that's fun. Also, Wild Riders just got a ton of kills. Wild Riders are very good. I really should bring them more, but you know, War Dancers are quite expensive, and that's usually where my money goes. Having War Dancers in the front line, because it's they cost 800 and Eternal Guard costs 550. Same with the Dryads. So you know, usually my War Dancer front line, it means I don't really have the money for a lot of Wild Riders, but they definitely pay for themselves. I mean, 128 and 90 kills. It's beautiful. So that about sums it up, I guess. So Honka Monka, great match, really had me on the ropes for a while there. And guys, if you enjoyed this, please do comment, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good day, guys.